Good evening. I hope that you are doing well. Oh, dear. One of my favorite ASM artists opens as a similar way, but I'm not, stealing from them. I do hope you are doing well. Truly. Whoever you may be, between yourself and myself, this is a pretty selfish endeavor. I'm sure that this doesn't have a very wide appeal, but it's what I would like. It's a change I'd like to see in the world. So I'm gonna take Mr. Jackson's advice. Or was it the man in the mirror? I can't tell. It's too dark. Can you see a thing? The window, perhaps? Your eyes should be closed. That was a silly question. This is an ASMR for sleeping. Oh, that's my eyebrow. If you hadn't already guessed, or is that my nose? That's my eyebrow. If you hadn't already guessed, this is ASMR. And I'm gonna say what it is, because saying what it is can be what it is. It's like human interaction in a can. Although you can get it in person as well. The acronym stands for Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response. Autonomous, automatic, sensory, like you can feel it. Meridian, that can mean a few different things, but it generally speaking refers to a part of your body. And response, it's it happens because of stuff. And the stuff that triggers it, this response, which is like a tingling sensation in the head, back, sometimes all the way down to the base of your spine, perhaps even in your buttocks, is a thing that you get when people are close. It's like, ooh, monkey, I'm getting groomed. Ooh, nice. It's that. And not everybody gets it. And not everybody gets it to the same degree. But I get it quite a lot. I can even give it to myself. Lucky me. And I want to do an ASMR about the lore for my favorite video game. And maybe this does have broad appeal because it's lore from all over the globe and different myths and stories, and it combines it all together with this ancient aliens subplot and really random old computer game references. And it's fun. It's dash M U L A N A. Yeah, I'm not trying to make you flex your brain so hard. Sometimes ASMR is about random information, like somebody's going chitter chatter in your ear. Or like, do you know about this thing? It's like a thing. It's really cool. It's a secret. I'm gonna tell it to you. It's not like a big deal or anything, but something special I'm gonna share with you. Did you hear me? Or did it sound like wishy-washy, chitter-chatter, wishy-washy, chitter-chatter? I don't know what I'm gonna do. Anyway, so it's gonna be a lot of information that's not really like important information, and you can like zone out and go to bed like someone telling you a story. But I can't really sleep well when people are telling me a story because I really want to know what happens, especially if they're like good at telling it. So I'm gonna just chitter chatter, 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 for a little bit. I'm gonna chitter chatter at you. I'm gonna chitter chatter at you. I'm gonna chitter chatter. I'm gonna give it to you. I'm gonna give it to you. About La-Mulana. It's a Metroidvania game. Metroidvania. Metroidvania. The last Metroid is in captivity. The world is at peace. Yeah, it's a pretty mainstream series. And then Castlevania, they made it into a really nice anime. But like the first Castlevania games are just 2D action games, but instead of shooting a gun, you crack a whip. Metroid, on the other hand, has always been a Metroidvania. It's your space bounty hunter, and you need to fight space pirates who stole this super duper alien called a Metroid. It wasn't until like somewhere around Symphony of the Night, which is the name of a Castlevania game, where Castlevania started to be like Metroid a little bit. That's like a long, nerdy explanation from what a Metroidvania is. But I like to say, for a modern video game playing crowd, that a Metroidvania is like an open world exploration game, except it's in 2D. And you need a lot of movement upgrades in order to progress. Like Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, that's a pretty mainstream thing here in 2023. I hear they're making a sequel. Like, if you have the skill, you can go all the way straight to canon. But most people like to travel around and get all of the power-ups from the fish people and the desert ladies and the bird people and the rock people. In fact, it's really similar to La-Mulana, because in that game, you need to get to know a lot of people too. Only there are the 7 civilizations of different peoples that were created by the mother. And she's the central figure of this game. It's really sad that she's like a plot device, and that's kind of the tragedy of it. Yeah, like Ganon didn't, like he did it to himself. He made himself the monster pig in The Legend of Zelda Breath to the Wild. But he used to be like a real dude with dreams and ambitions. But things just didn't work out. But because he did what he thought he had to do, even though things weren't really right with him, now we have a fun video game to play. Or you could just say he's fake. It's a story. It's all a silly story. It's all chitter chatter, chitter chatter, chitter chatter, chitter chatter, chitter chatter. Lord Ganondorf, chitter chatter, man's a miserable pile of secrets. Have at you. Alright. Anyway, I don't want to get into deep philosophical implications and how they relate to real world whatever's in The Legend of Zelda. Those are just 2 points of comparison. One more thing. Just like with open world games, where if you know what you're doing really well, you can get to the end really fast. The same thing with Metroidvanias. The speed runs are so much fun. It's like Super Meat Boy, but it's a whole level. Super Meat Boy is still cool, right? SMB, not Super Mario Brothers. The man with no skin who wants to meet his bandage girlfriend. I love indie games. Even though I'm not good at using like a controller. I like to play a lot of Flash games as a kid. Maybe that's just because I'm a 90s kid, 2000s kid. But it means it's all indie. It's not like you can make big money doing Flash games. I mean, especially since Flash doesn't really exist anymore. Bummer, I know, right? So yeah, fun speed runs. La-Mulana speed run. One of the categories, you can beat the game in like 10 seconds. By going in a shop near the start, it's like save mile manipulation, item manipulation, that you can all do in a certain patch of the game. But I'm not big into glitches. Like, even though the glitches in La-Mulana are really fun, and I do them sometimes, I'm not a speedrunner type. I like to take my time and really, like, immerse myself in the world. And, I mean, unless, like, you got a really good reason for it, glitches are pretty immersion breaking, right? Yeah, La-Mulana. It's a Metroidvania. And the mother, the main central figure, she came from heaven and she fell. Oh no, she fell from heaven. But it's like a mythology thing, so really she's an alien from outer space. She's all alone and she can't get up. I've fallen and I can't get up. But don't worry, because her kids are really helpful. At least they try their best. First, she makes snake people. and she makes them really magical. She gives them lizard DNA and monkey DNA, and they like early mammal DNA, and they're wizards, and they're also like Japanese and Chinese inspired. The lore of the game is that each of these civilizations that the peoples inspired all of the ancient civilizations in real life. All of the Aboriginal ones, not just the big famous ones too, the megalithic ones. Although there's a reason why we know the most about megalithic civilizations. And like there are like 4 areas dedicated to Egypt in the whole series. It's only 2 games though, it's very manageable. Ooh, my nose is starting to get clogged. Pardon me. That didn't help very much. My nose is still pretty clogged. I can do some more. Yeah, a lot of people say that some ASMR is gross. Some people say that it's a little erotic too. That's not what I'm going for here. But hey, whatever floats your boat. I don't mind. Anyway, here's the problem though, and you don't really learn this until La-Mulana 2. The snake people really can't figure out what the mother really needs. And, oh yeah, also like some Mongolian stuff, and like La-Mulana paints with broad strokes, because obviously there are way more than 7 civilizations in ancient times. Thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands. And I can stay confident of that because most of them don't last very long. A lot of them don't even really. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Back on topic. Back on topic. There's a second group of aliens besides the mother. And they want the Earth. These are the gray aliens. These are from Planet X, the Anunnaki, the children of Anu. Anu, the sky god. They're the children of the sky, not the children of the mother. The Anunnaki, they brainwash the snake people. They give some of them legs. And the snake people are wise to this. They fight back. But some of them, after they get legs, they're brainwashed and they're slaves to the sky people. Sky people don't really want to help the mother. They want the planet all to themselves. But the snake people can't do anything. The Anunnaki have them beat. But they're nothing compared to the mother. She's tired of waiting. She wants to go back to heaven. What she's going to do, she's going to make giants. And giants, I don't know what kind of stereotype it is. It's because they're so big. They're great builders. They're like house-sized, give or take. They're the people who make most of the ancient ruins of La-Mulana. La-Mulana. Title drop. I think it translates to Lamul, the mother, in La-Mulana is fake language. It's not really fully developed. It's like all anagrams of Japanese or English, depending on where you are. Oh, dear. You're starting to get sleepy. So yeah, giants are builders for some reason. And also, they are resistant to brainwashing. And also, they can only communicate in a certain audio frequency because they're so large. This is another lore drop from La-Mulana 2. Here's something special. I'm such a big La-Mulana nerd that I got La-Mulana on PS Vita. What's special is in that game, there's a bestiary. Bestiary, 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 bestiary in the game, bestiary in the game, bestiary. It's the best Jerry, it's the best Jerry in the game. And it's a book full of all the monsters and their names and what they do and extra lore. The final boss of the secret hidden temple at the end of La-Mulana 1, it's called The Boss. And it said that it's not really a child of the mother, but it's kind of like related to the mother's ability to create life. And it's never going to come up again, but like, is it like a male species of the mother? It's kind of pathetic and all that, but it also lives inside the mother. And it's not present in La-Mulana 2, but they say that it's related to the mother's ability to create life. Anyway. Oh yeah, the best Jerry, best Jerry, best Jerry, best Jerry, best Jerry. Best Jerry, best Jerry, chitter chatter, chitter chatter, chitter chatter. Best Jerry, best Jerry, best Jerry, best Jerry, chitter chatter, chitter chatter. La-Mulana, La-Mulana. It also has hand-done drawings by the lead developer, Naramura. Naramura, 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 Naramura. That's intentional. The boss of the game, the father of the ruins, is the boss of the developers, Negoro. And he is also the father of the ruins because he helped design the game a lot. There are two other guys too, but we'll get to them later. Yeah, he used to have this little cartoon avatar of himself, and it looks like the final boss of the hidden temple. Anyway, the giants, they are all prepped, and they're also really great fighters. And they force the Anunnaki to tell them how to go to space. And then they let them use the Earth. Quid pro quo. You give me some of this, I'll give you some of that. Yeah, there's no reason why you can't use the Earth. Just don't stop us from getting to space. Don't enslave us. We can work this out, man. Well, problem being, the Anunnaki are poisoned by oxygen. Oxygen kills them. They can't come down to Earth until they get rid of oxygen, and the mother needs that since she got there first. Finders keepers. They ain't getting on there until the mother is gone in one way or the other. And they teach the rockets how to go to space in big old towers. Yeah. They also give the giants weapons. They have 3 big old weapons that are super duper mass destruction. And we know the names of 2 of them, I think all 3. And then maybe there's kind of a 4th one. This isn't a serious lore video. Don't worry about it. If it's important enough to be like central in the story, I'll bring it together. Because I do want to sleep. You want to sleep, right? I'm not gonna talk forever. We're all gonna sleep. I'm just gonna be here. Chitter chatter, chitter chatter, chitter chatter, La-Mulana. Yeah. The giants made the La-Mulana ruins inside the mother. Her body is huge, bigger than a mountain, and also her body is magic. Like, it defies spatial dimension. It has, like, loops around on itself. It's like Lovecraftian. Just doesn't work in the real world. And it's where all of the children live, inside of her. Except there's also, like, complications in La-Mulana too, where the mother knows this, and the Anunnaki know this, but she can't go back to heaven. That's all she wants to do. All she wants to do is go back to heaven, and all the Anunnaki want to do is come down to Earth. Isn't that so sad that they can't get along like that? Anyway, she starts building a new body for herself, and that's how you get the sequel, La-Mulana 2. The second body of the mother that can actually go to space. But it's not finished quite right. And I'm gonna spoil this, because you gotta experience for yourself. Like, this isn't big spoiler stuff. And I mean, what are you doing here? It's not big spoiler stuff. You'll still enjoy yourself playing the game. The only way to stop the mother, because she's so invincible, is that her soul needs to be destroyed, separated from her body and destroyed. And even after her soul is separated from her body, you still need to be a super duper warrior to deal with that, because her soul is so strong. Like, she's a 3.5 poltergeists and more all rolled into one. Yeah. Anyway, so what happens is the La-Mulana other ruins, the ones that are possible to live into space, their soul awakens and they're angry. They don't even want to go to space. They just want to beat up all the people who took away their mama. It's like a Jason Voorhees thing. Only it's not going to have a million sequels. It's all over. And I think that's okay. I think it's a noble death, a good death to the series. So, these rockets, they're built. They're built around the mother, and they're built around the mother's second body. And they're kind of tangled together, but don't worry about it. But there are problems. The children love the mother. The giants love the mother. And they don't want her to go. Mommy, we love you so much. Don't go. We built you rockets, but we don't want you to fly away. Stay with us. And so they have some fighting. They all do their own thing. Some of the giants want the mother to stay where she is. Some of the giants want her to return to space. And some of the giants, well, what they originally are the ice giants, and that's all that remains after one of the big wars. I think it's one of the super weapons get used. And at the end of the Civil War of the Giants, they're all freezing to death inside the cooling system for the rocket. I should probably say that the mythology for the Giants, it's a little bit of Japan, of course, but it's mostly Polynesian influences. And it's weird how well that works into a snowy environment. It's really cool. Cool and snowy. And icy giants. Ice giants. Jotunheim. Jotunheim. Frost giants. Very cool. Yeah. But I wasn't kidding about how much the giants do. Like, the process of building these rockets that the Anunnaki taught them how to do, they're huge. There's the Tower of Babel that they build, although that's actually built by the fifth children. But they have to build the rocket storage facility. They have to build the power generator, and they use like hydrothermal combined with hydrothermonuclear, like hydronuclear, like they separate the hydrogen and it's exploded. And you know, it's a rocket. Boom. It's like firing a gun. That's less important. I could explain it if I'm more awake. But long story short, there's this whole series of lakes and pipes and lava and power generators and rockets and caves, all about getting the mother to space. But not only would it have not worked anyway, but they all die from infighting. Well, I mean, like, a couple survive, but it's not enough to really be a tribe, and they're so scarred by the event that they can't do much. Like, the first giant that the mother ever made is in the second game, and it's Surtur. Well, one of the first giants. There's also the first leader of the giants, Zebu. And he was like trying to hold everything together. Both sides respected him. And then there's, of course, the ultimate giant, like, whose body got divided up by the dwarves. The first child. Hang on a second. That actually has lore implications. If Surtur's the first giant, and then also there's this, oh my god, I just had a huge lore revelation for La-Mulana 2. Like, there are these things called the Jotun, and it's like they're the servants of the mother's zeroth child, like the copy of herself that she starts making. But it's also, they're part giant, but then it's also, they're not giants, but they're not evil, but, and then there's the fact that the dwarves tear up the, I don't know. Anyway. And so the next thing that the mother makes, and this is actually what finishes off the giants, the third children, she gives them wings. They're the flying people like angels. And besides being able to fly, they're very smart. And they have a little bit of wizardry too, even more wizardry than the giants. And like, they take all of the giants' technologies, they're able to beat the giants, and they build a great empire that stretches even outside of the La-Mulana, the ruins inside the mother. The problem is they get a little bit full of themselves. They want to just take over the world. Yeah. They even try to like take the powers of the mother and like recreate her themselves. They're obsessed with it. They take the chimera technology of the Anunnaki, what they used to give the first children legs, and they make a whole bunch of monsters. Like, there's this arachnid monster, Arachne, and this like corpse of the first children. Like I said, the first children were the most similar to the mother. She's tied to a pyramid and she can shoot DNA, and she's called Nuwa. And then there's this, they took one of their own children and they cut her wings off. And they like tied her to a supercomputer, and the people, the third children who stayed loyal to the mother, the Gygax, they were the ones who beat the giants. Gygax beat the giants. Gygax beat the giants. Gygax beat the giants. And they fought a war against them. And then they won because they had all of this time to build up their strength. And you know what the mother did to these overconfident flying creatures? She flooded the whole world. And, like, there's no actual global flood. But if there were an actual global flood, then it would coincide with a specific event that is being listed by all these cultures, like the Great Flood of, like, 2000 BC or whatever. Or I guess BCE is what they call it now, before Common Era. Here's the problem. What's it called? Flood. That the third children are confirmed to have met dinosaurs. And also the first children are confirmed to have in part been made by DNA that's already on Earth. Although arguably a lot of snakes were invented from parts of the first children, and a lot of what the old snake monsters are made of the children who cast off their tails to get legs. Like, I would say that the boss of the first game, first boss, Amphispena, it's a two-headed snake. I think it's part of the twins. I think it's related. The twins are really important. They were like not the last, but really important first children that the third children stole in order to build their wisdom. Do you know Hermes, the Hermetic order, the staff of Hermes? It's the two snakes twisting upward, the caduceus, and like the eagle at the top, and that's Hermes flying away with the two snakes. It could also be a reference to Orion's belt, because Hermes is the father of Orion, or as I like to call him, Orion, my little baby boy in the sky. Anyway, so they made Atlantis. The third children did. They're pretty Greek inspired, if you can't tell. But also some other like Hellenistic cultures like Rome, like the planetary stuff. I think maybe some Syrian culture. Oh boy. And there you go. She drowned them all. And here's the problem. If you kill all of your children, then you gotta start fresh again with the next batch. Oh no. What are you gonna do? Chitter, chatter, chitter, chatter, chitter, chatter, chitter, chitter. She makes the fourth children. They're fish people. And I don't know what it is with Japanese media and fish people being like seen as lesser than, but that's exactly how it is. They just chill in the water for a couple 100 years. The timeline for La-Mulana makes no sense. Like, there's ape-like DNA and snake-like DNA, but also dinosaurs. And then the flood happens, which happened during like human history. And then the flood lasts a couple of 100 years, according to a lore tablet. But yeah, it's silly. You just gotta take it as it is. And when the waters finally go down, it's the fifth children. The mother wants creative solutions. So the fifth children, they got big brains. They're really smart. They're really creative. But also they're not very strong. They're just very, very, very smart. And they're tiny. And they're called the dwarves. And, yeah. The dwarves are mostly like African nations. They give a hell of a lot of room to Egypt, but there are other African cultural traditions referenced, like 3. It's less about the cultural traditions and it's more about the ruins too. Remember I said Metroidvanias are like the Castlevania guy had a whip? In this one, it's archaeology, and he's got a whip. It's Indiana Jones. Bum, ba-dum, bum. Bum, ba-dum. Bum, ba-dum, bum. Bum, ba-dum, bum, bum. But even cooler than Indiana Jones, because not only is he an action hero, archaeology professor, he's also anthropology mostly. He's also a ninja. Yeah. So that explains how he can jump around and he throws shurikens and whatever. That's the main character. I wouldn't call him the central figure though. He's Lumeza, at least in the first game. In the second game, it's Lumisa. And she's basically his daughter. Like, I don't know why there's this drama around whose kid she is. But also, that's part of like her character drama is defining herself outside of her father and doing things in her own way and breaking the prophecy and like, yeah. La-Mulana 2 and La-Mulana 1 are really grounded in human history, and like, not only is Lameza fighting against the mother, the one who made all of these plans, the one who like gave humanity a purpose to live by and expects those rules to be followed, and if you don't listen to her, she'll take you out. But also he is trying to show his father that he can be great, that he can live up to expectations, that he can do the right thing. But he's not only doing it for him, not only is he doing it for his father, but he's also doing it for himself and for the struggle. And it's not about proving himself to his father, it's about proving himself to himself. Like the chosen one who's going to come and set the mother free isn't going to be the chosen one because of fate. They're going to be the chosen one because they're the one who overcome all of the challenges, who learn all of the histories. That's a really important thing. In order to really set the mother free, this is cutting ahead. The 7th children made the 8th children with no memory of her. They forget everything and they go out into the world and they learn. And they're like the orphan child, the separated child. And they have to come back and figure everything all out on their own from an outside perspective. And then make the choice to euthanize the mother. And the 7 children think of this as a mercy killing. They love the mother so much. And even in the second game, when the mother's killed, they're all depressed and they don't know what to do with themselves. They throw themselves into their work to try not to think about it, but they're all so sad that they've lost their reason for continuing to live. But the 7th child, the 8th child, humanity, La-Mulana, does it because he cares about life. He cares about doing the right thing and saving people, and there's nothing else to be done with the mother. Whether it's good for her or not, it needs to be done. She needs to die. There's no way to stop her. It's sad. It's a tragic story. The mother loses the thing that's most important to her, and she abuses her children and kills them. And she's never able to really get what she wants, and in the end she has to have her life forcibly taken from her because of these destructive cycle that she puts herself through. And then one of her children, who's so upset at the loss of his parent, he's gonna go out and get revenge, the gender of the 0th child, who's also the 9th child. It's up for debate, but I think they're male. Anyway. They've also got to get put down. And it's so sad because at the end of the game, the 9th child, part of the process of setting him free is you have to use this device that absorbs malice. You absorb the malice and the soul of the 0th child, the 9th child. The soul, freed from the body, just before it dies, it flies back into space. The last thing that it feels as it dissipates and dies is the thing that its mother always wanted. It gets to taste that bliss, to be free, to be back home in space, the home it never knew. And then it dies. It's so tragically beautiful. So beautifully tragic. So, 4th children, the fish people. They got mild Babylonian influence, but they don't do much. A little bit of Celtic too, I guess you could say, vaguely European, but nobody takes them seriously, and it's kind of sad. They make a whole DLC in La-Mulana 2 about the fourth children getting the short stick. And their whole temple is a bunch of funny memes. It's nice. Like the first game's DLC that wasn't supposed to be DLC, and if you get the game anywhere it's sold in the West, it all comes packaged together anyway. Is like this serious, super challenging area that's not really a joke, although there's some funny parts to it. It's like really painful. But the La-Mulana 2 DLC is more like a real Kaizo hack. And if you don't know what Kaizo is, I'm not gonna go into detail, because it's like there's so much internet culture you gotta get. It's like a fun torture game. Torture can be fun. For real, it's like the ultimate challenge. Yeah. La-Mulana is a challenging game. It's restrictive. It's unintuitive. It's very retro. It's embracing a lot of things that gaming tried to move on from, because gaming wanted to be fun and hip and graspable, but maybe being hard to grasp can be fun. And like things can be hard to grasp in an intuitive way, but also solving riddles, lateral thinking, doing things the circuitous, cross all your T's, dot all your I's route can be fun. Cross your T's, dot your I's. Cross your T's, dot your I's. And going all the way down the route can be fun. Some people just want to sit and think about things for a long, long time. And that's how it is in La-Mulana. You can only play either game like maybe once or twice. And like most of the fun is gone after that. But oh, those like 70 hours that you'll spend figuring out all the special riddles. It's so fun. So rewarding. It's a challenge. It's great. I love that game. It's my favorite game. There's no other game like it. Yeah. Fifth children, the dwarves. They get given all of the prior information about all of the other species before them. They get it given to them by the fish people. And then the fish people just flounder off. So much goes on with the dwarves. Like, they're kind of African, but they're also kind of Norse. The fifth children, the sixth children, and the seventh children all kind of do. A lot of La-Mulana 2 related stuff. The fifth children are basically humans anyway, they're just smaller. Except for, of course, they learn about the chimera technology. And they're even able to make it in their own way so that they don't become slaves to the Anunnaki. The problem is, they still kinda do, and it's... I want to replay the sequel. I'm waiting. I'm giving it space before I get all the deets again. There's been a few updates since the last time I played, mainly just a couple of new bosses that are like reskins of other bosses in the final temple, but it's enough. And then the cosmetic changes in the corridor of blood. Oh, that's a fun story. Anyway, I should say, by the way, the Anunnaki, they kept trying for years and years and years. They did everything they could. They taught all of the children of the mother basically everything they know. but they died. One of them sacrificed himself, Anu himself sacrificed himself by making himself a boss and like binding his soul to the mother in the form of red light. He can only come out again when he dies. And all of the other Anunnaki, their bodies were dying. They couldn't preserve themselves anymore. So they put their will to live, their will to dominate the earth, the will to look after their people into 12 crystal skulls and sent them down to the earth, and that caused some chaos. They also gave themselves crystal bodies to communicate with people and put their minds in the crystal bodies, but they didn't last forever. All of the will of the Anunnaki, all that's left of it, is in the skulls. Well, and also one tribe of the sixth children, but that's neither here nor there. It's in the future, if you want to call that there. But hopefully you're not moving, because I want you to sleep. Sleep, 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 sleep. Anyway, fifth children. Particularly, the big thing is between the Armarna, which was a real ancient Egyptian faction. Like, I think it's the Southern Kingdom, but yeah. They want to do what the third children did again and like break free from the mother and have their own power and like rule the earth. The leader of those guys, Horus, not Ra. He wants to combine himself with one of the ancient weapons from the Anunnaki and become Atun-Ra. And he does that in La-Mulana too. Aten itself is also sealed into the mother. Atun-Ra, he puts himself into an Ankh and becomes a guardian. I should say what the main bosses of these games are. They're the guardians, and they're called the guardians because they're like protection system for the mother. They hold down her vital areas and they lend their great power to her. They're all like really powerful. But they lose their real bodies. You can only access these areas that they guard by fighting them. And you can only fight them if you solve the puzzle to bring the crimson Ankh jewel to the Ankh that their soul is stored inside. And the jewel is like, it does this really funky thing where it like projects a pocket dimension, like an alternate reality, where the light can take on physical shape, the soul. You're really fighting the souls of all of these creatures. You're reawakening history to see them in their heyday. That's another thing that's cool about La-Mulana 2. Like, it centers around Ragnarok, which is a thing that was in the past, but like, it's happening. It's going to happen. And you're making it happen. Like, you see the births of several of these Ankhs. Well, in La-Mulana 1, the Ankhs have been there for a long, long time. And you've just got to figure out how to turn them on. In La-Mulana 2, you're really making history more than fulfilling it. You're giving peace and freedom and new opportunities more than just cleaning up old messes. It's a beautiful end for the series. Hence, Anu made himself into an Ankh so that way he could like corrupt the mother's body from the inside. Anyway, I forget the name of the other faction. That's the, like, quote unquote good guys who kept trying to send the mother to space. They're like the Aeneas, the Aeneans, Nyaneans, Gaianeans. Chitter chatter, 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 The dwarves, another thing that they do is, like, besides inventing weapons and inventing animals and a bunch of other things, and inventing pyramids, like, oh no, they don't do Nua's pyramid, but they do a pyramid to the sun and the moon and the stars. The three special pyramids, and like combine their resonances, and it's all lots of very fun, very like symbolic pseudoscience about man and woman, life and death, the secrets of the universe. The dwarves were very, very smart. And at this point, the mother had pretty much given up. Between the dwarves fighting each other and one big mistake they made, they invented the sixth children. They borrowed some of the mother's power and they breathed life into mud, clay dolls, Adama, Skanda, and they made the next generation of children. They still were like using the mother's power, but she wasn't like directing the creation. And so many races were born out of the sixth children, especially since the fifth children already had their language all screwed around. Somewhere around here, the transition was made between ancient La-Mulanas and like the modern La-Mulanas, or classical La-Mulanas and modern La-Mulanas. Doesn't matter. There are multiple La-Mulanas languages. So some of the sixth children are obsessed with the giants, and they like modify their own machines to make themselves bigger. Some of them give themselves multiple arms and become warriors. And they like build this whole special mausoleum to how awesome the giants were and stuff like that. Some of them build flying machines. Some of them get wings and like specialize in magic, and they become the fairies. Some of them, these are the most prolific ones. They get influenced by the will of the Anunnaki. They don't even really understand it. They're not the brightest tools in the shed, but they just know that they need to conquer everything. The local pala. And the sixth children, they cover a lot of ground. It's some Central American cultures, and also like all of Hinduism and like non-Zen Buddhism, but some Buddhism, and also most of the Norse culture. And like I said, that's the central part of La-Mulana 2, is the Norse culture is the thread that ties everything together. And that's at least 2 tribes of the sixth children centered around Norse myth. The fairies, though, they were the biggest deal. They used to be Lokapala, but like they saw the problems with the mother and all of that. And they saw that they needed wisdom. they saw that what's going to happen to the sixth children is a whole bunch of foolishness. So they invented the seventh children. Smartness wasn't going to help. They needed wisdom. They needed patience. They needed new perspective. All of these sixth children made the seventh children. Were the most similar to the mother. They're very wise. They live for a long time. A long, long time. And they just had to find a way to solve the mother's problem. The six children were so crazy, they burnt out really fast. Whatever ancient weapons hadn't been used yet all got used. They all wiped each other out. Like that whole ancient aliens thing about the Indus River Valley civilization and how they might have had nuclear weapons. It's been debunked and all, but they work that in as it's one of the ancient weapons is nuclear, like hydronuclear, thermonuclear power is a lot of what the aliens used. And so, of course, radiation bombs. Anyway, seventh children is Central, South, and North American culture. And they just wanted to study the mother, and the main guys who figured the most of everything out were the four philosophers. Four philosophers. Four philosophers. Four philosophers. Four philosophers. Four philosophers. I should also add that they were created by the fairies, and they also helped design some fairies too. There's a back and forth collaborative effort. Four philosophers, chitter chatter, La-Mulana, La-Mulana, La-Mulana. And they're the ones who said the only ones who can get rid of the mother are people who don't know her, people who go gather strength that is their own outside of the world, who can stand outside of the mother's shadow. And so what they did is they made the ruins into a challenging ground. They can't fight against the mother, like it's in their DNA. It's like a bee can't go against the hive. But what they can do is they can not stop somebody from trying to do it themselves. They have, as long as they do their due diligence to make it very hard for someone. It's like give and take. The fairies were very free, and then they made the seventh children very free. And the seventh children made the eighth children very, very free. They're all grown up. They're all free to live without their mother. The eighth children, what they do is they're us. We're the last of the races that came from a species, whatever. I guess we're species since we can't breed. Came from the tree of life, the thing that the fifth children invented to use the power of the mother to create their own servant species. And I should also say that the tree of life specific here is the Kabbalistic Sephiroth. So they're all Skanda dolls, they're all golems. They're all Adama, earth. nice and sleepy with all my chitter chatter, chitter chatter. I'm gonna be listening to this right away before I even put it on YouTube. YouTube. Yeah, YouTube, chitter chatter. Ooh, ouchie. Someday, Lameza comes back. And Lumisa too. Lameza and Lumisa are Samiru, Rumisa, Samiru, Rumisa, Samiru, Rumeza, Remeza, Samiru, Remeza, 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 Samiru. And then the third person, who's part of Nikoro, because you remember, Naramura, Ramura, Ramura, is the seventh child who's out on the surface, waiting for the chosen one to come. Well, for the traps in the ruins to choose them. And that's Elder Zelpud. Elder Zelpud. He's a video game nerd, and he's kinda like an old coot. But he's just a guy looking out for himself and trying to do the right thing. He's a good elder of the village. He gives them internet. Like the whole thing with these seventh children is, excuse me, they want to live simply. They want to not shake things around too much. But Zelpud's kind of an exception. He has big ambitions. He wants to have fun. And he does. He's kind of a divisive character. He has all kinds of funny emails and texts he sends you in both games to, like, help you out. And that's Duplex. Duplex Samiru Naramura. That's our Nigoro. Duplex is doing his own thing now. And I wish him good luck. I wish all of these people good luck. They've left a huge impact on my life. All of the things that I've learned, all of the time that I've spent dealing with weakness and like being inspired to learn, and all the fun, very fun music, very danceable, very yeah. Lameza comes, he solves all of the riddles, he separates the mother's soul from her body by defeating the guardians, and then using these magic words to like sever the mother's chakra points, basically. And then he uses the power of the mother that he sources from all over the place to like call her out. And he gets the secret treasure of life, the power of the mother crystallized. And when she's dying, the mother makes the ninth child, the 0th child, wake up and go faster. The aliens, they weren't really focused on the mother because they knew what she was trying to do. They knew that as long as they could trap the 0th child, then the mother would have no real way out. So that's what they were doing. Instead of mantras, what they did was they built a bloody corridor. And created this vortex to, like, even more directly use the mother's power against her and, like, wake up to the soul that was in the center of La-Mulana. You know how I said all these civilizations keep wiping each other out, or the mother wipes them out, or the next generation wipes them out? Some of them are like prisoners of war. They live to tell another day. And they go to La-Mulana, which is the mother's 0th child. The only ones who make it to La-Mulana outside of La-Mulana are the undead or the people affiliated with the 7th children. And 8th children, of course, but the 8th children go out into the world and live their lives away from the mother. So yeah, and then Blumisa comes in, and she connects the bloody corridor. She learns the origins of the hatred of the original 7 races. No, 6 races. The original 6 races. She learns the source of their hatred. And she uses that hatred to awaken the child. And then she makes history right again and starts her own life with this cute 7th child girl named Mulbrook, and everybody loves Mulbrook. Like, the developers knew the game was really hard, and so like, okay, not only will Zelpud give you hints, but also he'll send you email hints too. And not only will he send you email hints, but we'll also put this 7th child girl in the ruins. So there are like 3 different people you can go to for help. Although La-Mulana is in a lot of ways kind of inspired by like video games being a collective social experience. Like, way back in the day, people would be in the schoolyard like, what did you find in The Legend of Zelda? Well, there's this really useful cave where like a moblin gave me 200 rupees all at once. And oh yeah, well, I found this place where there's an old man and he'll gamble with you. And sometimes he'll take your money and sometimes he'll give you a huge amount. Guys, if you go here, and then here, and then here, and then here, in the final dungeon, then you get a super powerful ring that buffs your armor. It's so cool. Let's see if we can do it together. We'll take turns playing on the controller. It's like that. Ain't that wholesome and fun? La-Mulana's like that too. Hey, how did you make it through the Chamber of Birth? Like, what traps have killed you and all of that. It's fun to do it blind too, of course. The best thing is doing it blind and then watching someone else do it. It's almost like, I suffered in La-Mulana and I figured it out, and now you're gonna do it, and I'm gonna laugh at you because I know exactly what you're supposed to do when you don't. And it's really interesting to see like what comes naturally to people and how they theorize and interpret all of these different riddles. Shall I go into the gameplay? The 4 philosophers, Alcidana, Phobos, Samaranta, and Giltorio, they made a whole bunch of puzzles about the histories of the 7 children and about the enemies and monsters that they created and used. And most of the time, the answers are on tablets, and they use like coded language using symbolism and like relating place names and like real real left brain thinking, you know? Not a lot of right brain thinking in La-Mulana outside of perhaps the bosses. And you have to find these tablets, figure out what they're talking about, and do what they say. It's pretty simple. It's all just a matter of interpretation and knowing when you found the right tablet. If I can just give you one example. Let's see, what's a good puzzle? Yeah, here's one. Very simple. There's a knowledge god. The knowledge god will let you progress, but only if you love knowledge enough to scan them. And I know that's left not as important. Oh, here's one. Like there's a god that's said to bring light, and he's in one of the murals, and he's holding a shell in one of his hands. And if you go to where his shell points, then it'll allow you to turn on the light in a different area of the ruins that's dark all the time. One more example. Some of them aren't necessarily mythology related. Some of them are just about like the structure of the ruins, like align it to the left, and to the left it will go. Align it to the right, and to the right it will go. Err just once, and it will forever not be in your grasp. And so then you come to the room with these two big pillars that rise up when you put a weight down. But you don't know what they're going to do. All you know is that something's going to happen when you put a weight down. And you have to know it's going to go to the left if I choose this left thing. So I'm going to choose the left thing and I'm going to get on it. And then it rides up to the ceiling. And if you weren't standing on it and you didn't know to stand on it, then too bad. But it rides all the way up to the ceiling, to the point where you'll get squished against the ceiling if you don't get off in time. And if you do it once, then you don't get on it, you'll never get the weapon. If you die, there's this whole process where you have to cling on the walls a bunch of times and fight a mini-boss before you even get to this puzzle again. It's a lot. A simpler one of the first ones, is that the one who has courage gets weapons, and you have to have the courage to jump into spikes. And if you do, a sign of courage, then the spikes are fake, actually. And that's how you get shurikens in the first game, which are useful. Yeah, I don't think that there's too much more that I want to say. This has been an hour of me talking, chitter chatter, silly stuff about this fun game that I love, that I want more people to love. And sweet dreams. Good night.